Hello, hello. This is Lisa Cara from Balance Pilates. I wanted to welcome you all tonight to this Facebook Live for a feature interview. I'm super excited tonight to have on my special guest and friend, Emily Smiley. Hi, Emily.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks so much for being here. We had so much fun hanging out a couple weeks ago, so we had already planned to do it again. So I'm so happy to have you here. Emily is a mom, a wife, an entrepreneur, a coach, a speaker. She works her digital online business and is also has been a fitness instructor for many years. We both share the lifelong fitness passion of 20 years strong
Yes.
teaching fitness, and has blended together just that roles of being a mom, wife, living a healthy life, and is here to share some of her favorite health hacks for healthy family. So I'm so thrilled to have you here, especially now we all need to hear your tips and hacks to stay healthy. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I love it. I love sharing my passion for healthy living, especially in the family realm and even just my own personal journey. Because we know that just because you're a fitness instructor, it doesn't matter if you've been for 20 years, you still got your own journey and you have to walk it yourself, right?
Yes, yes, 100%.
So, I guess if it's okay, should I just share a little bit about me and my backstory a little bit before we jump
Yes,
in?
please do share about your story and then your tips. We're happy to hear it all.
Yeah. Well, so thank you again for having me. I really love sharing my message, and I love that we're also digital right now because I was a collegiate athlete, and so my background has always been in health and fitness. So it was a really natural, seamless thing to move from collegiate sports into fitness. I used to do some fitness modeling, believe it or not, back in the day. I don't tell very many people that.
We
Um,
talked about that. I think it's amazing. I love it.
yeah, but there was such an ideal even back then about what fit looked like. So part of my journey has always really been to change the mold of that. Even back in the day, I was too muscular before it was like even popular to be that way. Even though you would think that it was fit. So my message really, I just want to start out in my journey and sharing it is don't think that fitness or being healthy has a certain look, right? I think we as women, we think that we have to look a certain way, or we as moms, right? And so really you just want to take that out of the picture and just be the healthiest you can be and accept your body type for what it is. Because even after 20 years, I don't look like I did when I was an elite athlete. So healthy for me now as a mom is completely totally different. And even when people would come up to me in my 20s and be like, dang, I really want to look like you. Even then, I just wanted to shake them and go, do you know how many hours a day I put in to be this way? Like even now, I would have no desire to be in the gym and on the courts that amount of time for that shape for now. And I wouldn't look like that anyway, right? So so anyway, yes. So I have been a personal trainer and fitness instructor, gosh, for like a couple decades now. And it's kind of changed over time. When I started having kids, most people want their personal trainers before work or after work, right?
Right.
So
Yep.
when you want to be with your kids, you want to be with your kids in the morning, and you want to be with your kids at night. So it's been a challenge. I've really gotten into more a lot of online. I have a lot of clients that I take and work with online.
Mhm.
Um, but even as healthy as I was, when I had both of my kids, I had a lot of health issues. I had had miscarriages, I had placenta previa, I had preeclampsia, I had high blood pressure, I had hyperemesis, which basically means you're throwing up 24 times in 24 hours.
Oh my.
Um, it was
How
awful.
old are your kids now? How old
So
are your
my
children?
daughter is 13 and my son is 10. So this has been a decade since I've had to go through that. But even just because I was throwing up, I still gained weight, and people couldn't believe. They're like, "How are you gaining?" No, I gained a lot. So I gained 100 pounds with my daughter,
Mhm.
a little over, and almost I stopped counting after 120 with my son. I was on complete bed rest. I had
How
ripped
was your like, how was your back and your joints and just pain wise?
everything. I had broken my
Okay.
Achilles. My sport was tennis, so I had gotten back into tennis right before him, and I was at a healthy weight. I was very active and fit. Went to the gym 5 or 6 days a week. Was teaching classes and all of that. So just very achy, right? And so I was just on bed rest with him. And so when I tell people that, I'm like, I hear you. It's not just some instructor who has never had to deal with body fat or never had to deal with, issues or whatever, because at the end of the day, after I'd had him, he didn't weigh 120 pounds. He was a big baby. He was almost 12, but he wasn't 100, right? So that was
Yeah, it's
my
never fair that we can make it seem as though they were 70 power.
yes. Well, but it's so funny because you don't know what you don't know, right? I'd had
Mhm.
clients for years that were moms that they would say, "Oh, this is my baby weight," and I'd go, "Oh, how old is your baby?" And they'd say like, "Oh, he's 12," and I'd be like, "Oh, that's not baby weight anymore. That's your weight, right?" But I got it after my son because it took me a year to put it on, right, being
Yep.
pregnant, but it
Mhm,
took me years to get it off.
mhm,
And so, if you take away anything from today in the tips, it's, you know, you are where you are, allow yourself to be there,
mhm.
right? So I couldn't compare myself to that elite athlete. I had to accept myself for where I was, which for me, that was pretty rock bottom. And I just kept thinking, like, how many people can I help? Because I know what this feels like. And the
Yep.
other thing is, ask for help. Don't think that you have to look a certain way, right? Just get
Mhm.
help and the support that you need. It doesn't matter if you don't have 100, it doesn't matter if you're trying to lose 10, right? Find the people that support you because believe it or not, there's going to be a lot of people that try to sabotage you. Sad to say, but I've seen it. So anyway, so that's just kind of my background. But then I went to teaching and now I involve my kids. And so that's kind of the tips that I want to share today. It's like, okay, I've had my kids, I've lost the baby weight, but how do we all do it together now? Right? Because I know you and your
Yes,
your
get
family
them involved.
same.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. They will join us in a workout. My husband and I right now we're doing a workout program at home and yeah, they'll come down and join us and we'll invite them when we're about to do a workout and but yeah, it's so important to incorporate the family and the kids and just to get them to see that, if you are that's a tool for stress relief, right? Like turn to the physical exercise when you are if you are bothered about something about school or whatever
Yeah.
their little minds are bothered about. And as you said, like going back to the point about sometimes people can inadvertently or sabotage our success, when we're looking to eat better or do all the things. And that's why you and I were even saying before, like, not everyone realizes the true value in these connections that we make online, for you and I in point with just making a friendship through a mastermind and collaborating and both being into fitness for so long and into online businesses and things like that. Sometimes the people around you in your inner circle, right? If they're not helping, if they're not in that, okay, I need to drink water every day. I want to be on the eating healthier, planning out my meals, all that kind of thing, right? So that's the thing, gravitate towards those people that will help support you in your success, will help you in that accountability. And yeah.
Yeah, that's so true, right? Because we need that accountability. And it's funny. So I wrote a few tips to share. They're nothing mind blowing, but I feel like the more that we encompass them and we tackle them, people have this misconception about being healthy that it's like, well, I fell off the bandwagon. I'm like, well, newsflash. Everybody falls off the bandwagon. Even those like fitness models that you see, they guarantee they carry 10 to 15, sometimes 20 in off season, right? And they have to get back to that. They don't maintain that year round. So just getting that all or nothing mentality out of your head, like, oh, well, I just screwed up. So whatever, I'm just going to eat 2000 more calories because I ate a M&M that wasn't on my diet or whatever. It's
Yeah.
like the people that are the healthiest, it's not that they fall off the wagon, it's they
Yeah.
get back on sooner, right? Like they just don't.
So that's a question that a lot of people will have. Like if you're starting a program that you maybe set out to do like a 5-day a week exercise program, or maybe it's 7 days and 2 days are a bit more recovery or whatever. So you set out to do this program, and then by day 5, you end up skipping day 6 and 7. And then, so just for that mindset mentality in those days of not being hard on yourself, like what would you tell people for restarting at those times?
So usually I tell people, because it's so funny, right? I'll get somebody at the gym and maybe they're brand new, or maybe they're not. Doesn't sometimes it's the ones that have been in. They're like, I'm gonna come 5 or 6 days a week. I'm like, all right, well, how much do you work? Do you have kids? Do you have this? Like realistically, you have to make sure your goals are gonna line up with the reality of it, right? And then setting them up for success, having that like that must do whatever it is every day. So 10 minutes. And that's a not like whatever your non-negotiable is. So usually I'll set them up for 3 days a week. And then I'll say, okay, I hear what you're saying as far as 5 or 6 days a week. So we'll consider those a stretch goal. So in their mind, you're already setting them up for success because, okay, you're saying, all right, 3 times in a week, I'm going to get this done minimally, but
Mhm.
I'm going to strive for, let's say 6 days or whatever, depending on their goals. But what I do say is you can never skip more than one day. So like, let's say Tuesday, I know is going to be a struggle because it's just crazy insane. I'm still going to try to move for 10 minutes. Anybody can move 10 minutes. You can walk around your freaking kitchen for 10 minutes.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you can do that. But let's say it's crazy and you're not going to get your full workout in. Well, that means that you show up on Monday and you prepare in your head on Sunday that you're going to show up for Monday. And then no matter what, you're getting in there Wednesday. Does that make sense? So it's like,
Yep.
I know that if Tuesday is crazy, I'm going to plan that it might not happen. So I'm going to go Monday and it's going to be a non-negotiable to go Wednesday. Or let's say, Thursday's crazy. So I'm going to go Wednesday and Friday. So does that make sense?
Mhm.
Because then
Mhm.
you're setting yourself up for success instead of beating yourself up because you weren't able to go Tuesday when you knew Tuesday was going to be crazy all along. Is that helpful? Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
That gets rid of that all or nothing, but there
Yep.
has to be a baseline for a non-negotiable.
Yes, and that definite commitment and discipline, and yeah. Yeah.
And honestly, like if I'm working with someone new, I'll text them. I'll be like, I get their permission. I'll be like,
Yeah.
okay, so what do you need? And if they're one that, has a hard time with whatever it is, I go, okay, well, is it okay to text you? And
Yep.
I'll text you on Monday and be like, dude, did you get it done? Yes or
Yep.
no? And it's a yes or no question. You don't have to respond like, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to know that. And this is why, right? People
Yep.
love and hate trainers. You'll hate me today and love me tomorrow, right? Like I've said that a million times. But I'm like, dude, you hate me today, but you will love me tomorrow because no
Yep.
one has ever regretted a workout, right? And then I'll text you again on
Exactly.
Wednesday.
Exactly. Those workout endorphins, not even.
Yeah.
And what are some like nighttime tips for them to prepare to make sure that workout gets in the next day?
So yes. So I did have a few that I wanted to share, but on that note specifically, I used to teach 5 a.m. classes like back in the day.
Okay.
I hated them. I am not a morning person.
Yeah,
I
that
used to
would
teach
be
like some
difficult.
Yeah, I used to teach some 5 a.m. I did that for years. I did some 6 boot camps and oh
Mhm.
Lord, outdoor ones were the worst. Um, so I'll tell you what I told myself. First off, you really do prepare every single thing. The fewer decisions that you have to make in the morning, the better.
Mhm.
Check
Mhm.
your gas. There is no excuse. Where are your keys? Are they hanging up? Sometimes, if it was really early, I would sleep in my workout clothes. I am not kidding. I would absolutely lay them out down to everything. Socks. I am not looking for shoes. I am not
Yeah.
looking for my water bottle would be full. I would have a piece of toast ready and a banana. And that was my go-to. So whatever it is, preparing is your key. And that actually is one of my things that I wanted to share. If you are a mom, you are going to have all of the reasons for not fitting these like lifestyle changes in that you hear everybody say.
Mhm.
But instead of using your kids as an excuse, you need to use them as your why and your reason. Because, you know, so my degree is in childhood education and this gets my goat. So I'm just going to mention this and then we'll move on. But it really irritates me when I see children that are not developing the healthy lifestyle habits that they need to, because that is not their fault. That is the parents' fault. And I know this is a little bit of tough love for parents to hear, but they won't eat it if it's not in the house. period.
Yep. Yep.
And I
They
let
won't
my
drink
kids
it if
have
it's around the
whatever.
house. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And they won't.
Yep.
They won't. If you take the electronics away from them, they can't be on electronics. Or if you haven't moved today, then you don't get to be on electronics. I mean, there is, just like you would tough love yourself, right? You're trying to change your habits. You're developing another future adult's habits for the rest of their life. So think about how tough it is for us to change a habit, because this is what this all comes down to, is habits. Everything I have to share, all the tips are revolved around habits and developing them. And
Mhm.
so as a mom, it's so easy for us to say, well, I'm going to do my workout, and be very careful, especially if you have girls, in saying anything along dieting, right?
Yep.
Your diet is what you eat. It's
Yep.
how you fuel yourself. And if you come at a standpoint from, you need to fuel yourself, right? And what that looks like. And that might look different for my 13-year-old than it looks for this 42. I'm not saying that it has to be exactly the same, right? I'll explain to her, when you're done growing up, you grow out. We got to watch it a little bit more. That's fine. But having them see you count every little thing, and it's
Mhm.
always mom on a diet, or always mom doing this, be very, very mindful of that. Because every time you say anything about yourself, which is one of my tips, they're hearing that, and you're developing that next thing. So really, ideally, if you're a mom and you're trying to get healthy, why wouldn't you want your whole family to be healthy, right? You want to work together. Am I right?
Yep.
And the
Yep.
more you can do that, the more successful you're going to be. But more in turn, every mom I know wants their kid to do better than they did. So instead of saying, well, I was raised like that and that didn't hurt me, did it? That's why you're with me, right?
Yep. Yep.
That's why we are in the state that we are in the States. I don't know what Canada looks like, but the United States looks like crap food sometimes.
Yep.
So if you're tackling it yourself and you deem it important enough to talk about yourself, then you need to pass that along to your kids. And I have a couple of tips, if it's okay.
Yes. Yes. Bring it.
So number one, no matter what age your kids are, it's not too late and it's not too early. So my kids were in the carriers, and I took them to the gym during nap time, covered them up, and did the work, right? I put them in the stroller. I taught baby boot camps with the stroller stride boot camps.
Yep.
Whatever you got to do to make it happen, put it on the calendar. Make it happen. Make it a holistic thing, because they won't know my kids don't know any different. That's the truth.
Yep.
So
Same with
first
mine.
of all, yes,
I
first
used
of
to
all,
have my playpen at the Pilates studio,
yes, I
and
know you.
yeah, it was just like, yeah, they're so, and it's so good for them to see, as I said, when they realize, aside from all of the physical benefits, but also that that's another tool that you turn to with times of stress, with times of, all
Yes.
of life's ups and downs. So yeah.
Yeah, and I will say I got that from my parents. Like, I watched my mom jazzercise, and I watched my dad run, and
Yeah.
I was big in sports. So our family is a big sports family. But even if you're not, it doesn't matter. You get outside, right? So I'm jumping ahead of myself. The first one is sleep. If you have kids, guarantee you probably have them on a sleep schedule. But we as moms, how many times do we put our kids on a sleep schedule, and then we stay up and we Netflix binge, or we get on
Mhm.
TikTok, or whatever the reason, we're like, oh, it's our peace and quiet or whatever. But
Yep.
that,
It's
at least,
our downtime.
yes, I'm
There's
like, what? This is
articles that are
our
out
time.
now.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
totally guilty of this.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, we've all done it.
Yeah. We've all done
But
it.
we know when it gets off, because if I get off my rhythm, I get tired. And when we get tired, we're not motivated to move. And when we don't move, we don't make good decisions with our eating habits, right? And then
Yep.
it just throws everything out of a loop. So it starts with sleep. And there are tons of apps and different things to help you set an alarm, get off the electronics an hour before. Just like you have a bedtime routine for your kids to train them to go to bed, your mind is the same way. And if you get off electronics and you wash your face or brush your teeth and have a few minutes of grateful time or journal or reading or something to slow things down, then your sleep is going to be so much better. So that's my first one, is to count your sleep. It matters. Number two is water. I don't struggle with this one, but I know I work with a lot of people that do. There's an app for that too that will literally buzz you.
Okay.
So I've had people look it up. So I do know that
Writing it
exists.
down so I
But
can write
water,
them
it's
down.
it's super important. I have one
Yep.
full glass in the morning before I even get out of bed.
Are you a lemon and water girl or
I
plain
did that for
water
a long
or?
time, and then my dentist was kind of like, okay, so you already eat a lot of citrus. So
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
I do. If I'm doing like a 10-day kind of reset or something, but it's important.
Hmm.
And then the last three I want to touch on, I actually asked my family individually. I said, so I'm going to share in this healthy living community how important it is to be healthy as a family. What would you say? And they all three said very similar things along all of these different topics. So I thought that was really cool,
It's so
uh,
sweet.
because they already know, right?
They
And
see
they're
you
not
doing it
mind.
and living it all the time.
Yes,
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah.
And they know, like most people know what to do, right? It's just developing the habit. So most people might be watching this and say, okay, well, and by the way, if you're watching, let us know. We'd love to hear from you or chime in if you've got something to say or a tip,
Mhm.
even. We'd love. It's about tweaking, right? What works for
Mhm.
you? What works for your family? They're not mind blowing tips here, but you might think, oh, I never thought to do that. Or, oh,
Mhm.
that might help me. Or, that's a struggle. I need to focus on a little bit more there, right? Don't think
Mhm.
that it needs to be perfect. Like we talked about the bandwagon, that
Yeah.
all or nothing mentality. It's a journey. And sometimes, especially around Christmas, I tend to drink more coffee and notice that I'm not drinking enough water, which for me is really hard to do, but it happens, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
but the three things that they shared, number one, they all said to move outside daily.
Mhm.
So right now, because we're not as full into our activities as we normally are, we've
Right.
gone for bike rides, we've taken the dog, and it doesn't have to be every day as a family, but the more that you do that, the more that they crave that. Like some people can't believe I got my teen and my preteen, right, on a family walk.
Yes.
But that's because they don't know any different. They really don't.
And I have to ask, so on the weekend, you were somewhere in snow,
Yes.
but right now what's the temperature normally where you are?
60s. So I do know that we're outside a lot more than normal. We're in California,
Okay.
and so we have very mild winters.
Okay. And
So
usually just a
we
little
go to
bit
the
of
snow.
snow or like you have to go for a drive to go to like a toboggan hill
Yes, we did.
or okay.
We have a family cabin, and so we go. My friends up north, right? That you guys make fun of me. They're like, "Oh, you went to the snow." I'm like, "Yes, we drive there. We get our fill of the snow, and then we
And then
drive.
you leave it.
We leave it
I don't
there."
know how much we got this morning. We were supposed to get like, I don't know, 20 centimeters today or something, I think, but I haven't checked what it actually was or so yeah, if you want snow, got a backyard
I
here.
like to visit the snow, but that's about it.
Do
So
your
I
kids
did.
like outdoor snow activities? Like, are
We
they
did.
into like
We did. We took the dog out. We It was exhausting, by the way. I was
it's a
thoroughly
good workout, yeah?
walking in knee deep snow is no joke, first of
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were gonna do like a walk around the lake, but actually there was first responders there. Someone got lost on that side of the lake, so we stopped.
Okay, okay, yeah,
We
yeah.
Californians don't always know how to handle the snow. But so we did get out. We did get outside though. But if
Mhm,
you can't get outside, or if you're just tired of the snow or whatever, like we
mhm,
have done family workouts. Like my kids have watched me teach classes for years. My daughter could completely teach an indoor kickboxing class.
mhm,
Um, so they know. So let them create the workouts. And let me
mhm.
just tell you, they kill me. Like they're like, oh, let's do burpees. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'd put burpees in my workout, or oh, do push-ups. I'm like, oh, but I'm sore. Like, whatever. They'll
Mhm.
work you, right?
Yeah,
Or there's apps for that. There's so many things right now that
so many.
so many that you just pick one. Just pick one and then you all, or let everybody pick one and do something different. But I would suggest if you can get outside, even if it's for 10 minutes, just the D and just the, antidepressant. It's a natural
Yeah,
antidepressant. So getting outdoors as a family, um, at least once a week as a family, and then making sure your kids move. If you're going to move, it needs to be. So my daughter, she's like got the AirPods. She's a teenager. She wants to listen to her music. So it's like, okay, that's fine. You don't have to walk with me, but you have to walk. So she takes her pedometer or her phone and she has to show me that she completed a certain amount of miles. And some people may think that that's really strict, but she's not dancing right now. She usually does swim team and dance and all of these normal things. And if they're enrolled in that, great, as
mhm,
long as they're moving. And some people might say, well, we're not really a sports family. It doesn't matter. Pick something that they can do and
mhm.
make them do it. And
Mhm.
then do the same with yourself, right? And you're like, oh,
Yep.
well, adult sports, it doesn't matter. Like, go swim on the swim team if you don't want to just go to the gym, or if you don't like it, join a hiking group. I joined a mom's running group during this like whole pandemic that we've been having. I walked a
Okay.
lot of miles in the spring and summer of this last year.
I bet.
So get creative is what
Yeah,
I'm.
get creative. And that's the thing, there's so many ways, like whether it's something like a dance program or something swimming or something outdoor, just walking,
There's no
plugging.
excuse.
There's no, yeah, there's so many different ways. And then too, it's just finding the time of day that works for you, right?
Yes.
Is
And
your
that
body
does
moving
move.
well in the morning? Is
Yes.
it more, yeah, yeah. When do you
And
need that
and that's
connection?
hard as a family. And sometimes it's just an
Mhm.
after dinner walk together, right? Because you're just trying to get it in. So I think we're what, halfway through February. I have not missed a day of, I've done at least 1 mile every day this year.
Amazing.
So
Yeah.
whatever the goal is, set
Yeah.
it for yourself, and then use your family as your accountability, because they'll ask me, they'll be like, Mom, I had to work for it in the snow up there. I was like walking the parking lot. I was like, no, I'm not done. I got a half a mile. I walked the parking lot and then they just picked me up. And they were going to do that, and they were going to support me because they knew that I had to get that done. So
Yeah.
definitely they all said to make sure moving just makes you happy. It
Mhm.
literally, as Legally Blonde said, like endorphins. Exercise gives you endorphins, and endorphins make you happy. There
Mhm.
is a lot of truth to that. Um, and then the next one that I wanted to share is eating healthy. And I think that this is where like some people kind of branch off like this, because I'm very anti mom doing her own thing. I'm really all about making the family, whatever it is. And I have people say, well, what's just like what burns the most calories in the gym? Whichever one you're going to do,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Oh,
Mhm.
well, which one burns more, the treadmill or this? Well, which one do you like more? That's the one I would go with. It's
Yeah.
the same with eating. If you love carbs, don't cut carbs completely out, right? Like, you're going to be cranky. So
Yeah.
find a diet, whatever it is, Mediterranean, vegan, vegetarian. My sister's vegan, but we're not as a family. Some days we are. Some days we're just vegetarian, right? Or some days we're, but whatever it is, stick to it as a family. And then when your kids are really little, you don't have to be crazy about what you're giving them, right? Like, my kids did not know that cookies were cookies. They thought crackers were cookies.
Yeah.
I was that mom. I was that mom that never let her kids order off the kids' meal because chicken nuggets were not as acceptable, or mac and cheese as a meal. So
Right.
whatever it is, involve your kids. I can honestly say, with a teen and a tween now, they can pick out a menu. They'll add it to the grocery list. They're in charge of that night. And we do this a lot of weeks, right? So one will want to make Philly cheesesteaks, or the other one wants to make, homemade pizzas. And everybody's may look slightly different because I do no dairy, but they don't necessarily do no dairy, right? So
Mhm.
it doesn't have to look exactly the same, but there can be similarities. But they both know how to pick out a healthy recipe, right? They both know how to put it on the shopping list. They both know how to meal prep, because we do that, and they know how to cook it. And at the very least, they do the dishes. So the more you involve your kids in whatever it is, the better. Because if they have a hand in it, they're more likely to eat it. So even if you're like, my kid is the pickiest eater ever, well, so have them pick out something that you can agree on that's a compromise. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I'm a huge advocate for that for families.
Yep.
And the more you prepare, just like anything else, the better you're going to do. So I do not understand the mom that's at the baseball practice at 5:30 p.m. going, I don't know what I'm going to do for dinner. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know what you're doing for dinner? I've had dinner prepared because I knew it was going to be late. Like, it was done yesterday because I knew we were going to get home late.
That's a
You
busy
have
night. Yeah.
just like your workouts, you've got to. I even have emergency meals that are healthy in the freezer in case the regular meal doesn't happen. You've got to have like plan A, B, C, D, right?
Yep.
So, so anyway, and then just mindfully teaching your children to eat. I know you're all about that. Not
Yeah.
just mindlessly eating in front of the TV, because then every time you watch TV, you're going to think that it's time to eat.
Yes.
Be
Yes.
very mindful
Yep.
of what you're eating and discussing as a family.
Yep. And
So
sitting
that's a
down
huge
as a
one.
family. And I remember actually at the beginning, back in March last year, there were a day all we were like everyone, every night it was suddenly this sitting down at the table, and there was like drawing out of menus to be create with all this extra unknown time on our hands at that time. But yeah, the difference in actually sitting down and taking the time to know that you're taking the time and sitting down and enjoying that meal, and talking about your day and just slowing down for sure has so many benefits. Do you batch chop things? Like, do you prep your veggies and fruits and stuff like that?
So yes and no, like, right? Like ideally, that's what I would do. The goal is always to sit down at dinner, but the reality is it doesn't always happen. I've got a son
Yep.
that's back in travel baseball, and sometimes he's home late. I've got a daughter that's back in school and clubs, and they've got team nights and friends. And so it doesn't always happen. But the nights that those things aren't going on, we absolutely are sitting around. And we have a really simple, keep it simple. Like I'm all about KISS, right? Keep it simple, silly. Like just, I'll write out the main thing for dinner, and whatever green, sometimes I'll just write green veg. I don't even know what the green veg is until I go to the store, because I might write asparagus down and then get there and it's like, oh, that doesn't look so good.
Mhm.
So whatever works for you. Typically we plan Sunday through Saturday. And when I will say I don't know, do you guys have a lot of Costco's up your way?
We do have Costco's. Yep.
Okay.
We
Oh,
just don't have Target anymore.
oh. Well, so we do a lot at Costco. And I will say I unpack everything.
Hmm.
So I don't leave anything in the packages. So if edamame comes home, I'll put something in that. If carrots come home, like the big bag, I'll divvy them up.
Hmm.
So the more I can get it grab worthy, the better. And my kids are older now, so they pretty much fend for themselves for breakfast and lunch, which is
Hmm.
great. I taught them to pack their lunches very early, and they
Hmm.
knew I was like protein, veg, fruit, and then either crunchy or sweet, like little. And that was never allowed to come back unless everything else was gone. And so now they kind of do that on their own. So we're only meal prepping dinners. And then they each take a night, and my husband takes a night. So
Nice.
I don't have to do too much of that anymore. So if that gives you guys any motivation to get your family on board, I don't know what will, because
Yeah, true that, eh? Free up some time.
I like to eat, but I don't necessarily like. So Sunday sometimes will be meal prep, unless like this weekend we were gone. So then sometimes Monday's meal prep. And then Wednesday or Thursday. So usually like a couple of days. Yeah, we'll figure out a couple of days.
Mhm,
The
mhm,
menus on the board for the whole week.
mhm.
And I'll put what needs to be defrosted on my list the day before. So like if tomorrow is something that needs to be defrosted today,
Yep.
then I'll make myself a note of that. And then sometimes
I've got some great ebooks that all like recipe ebooks that also have the prep and plan guide attached with them, like for when you should take what out of the freezer and da 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 da. I'm gonna shoot those your way because I think you'd really
yeah, I'm
love
always
them.
looking
The
for new
organization part of it, right? Sometimes people really love that type of
yes.
organization.
Well, and then, like I
Yeah.
said, the more you can involve, your family and being mindful
Yeah.
of it, the better, and the better that you're going to do. And then as they get older, they're going to know. Like I used to do this with my students. I used to have them make a meal prep, and this was my math class. And part of it was to budget, right? They had to go to the
Mhm,
grocery store. And some parents hate taking their kids to the grocery store. I've always enjoyed. First of all, I don't like the grocery store personally. I don't.
mhm.
So I'd rather take my kids. And then I always let them pick anything in the produce, like anything. Like,
Yeah.
what do you want to try? We'll look up a recipe if we need to. And so
Yep.
they'll pick the most random thing. But it's good for them
That's so good.
because
Yeah,
they're
I
going
would
to
love
try
to
it.
get them
Guarantee you're going
involved.
to try it.
Yep.
Yeah, and we'll get some fails, right? We're not 100% successful at all, at all of this, but that's what it is. You're all kind of working toward it together. And so
Mhm.
I feel like, if I could leave with anything, it's the more that you work together as a family, the more successful you're going to be in your own journey, because you're not caving because they're all eating junk, and that's super
Yes.
right. And that sugar
Yep.
habit is so addictive. And then you're going to be more successful, but then you're also going to raise children who we're not getting in the gym 20 years from now trying to break habits that have been established, right now, and then getting rid
Yep.
of that all or nothing
Yep.
mentality, right? Just thinking that you have to just throw in the towel because it's not perfect. My kids eat out a lot and they eat with their friends and they go to parties. I don't put any stipulations on it. Sometimes they failed. Sometimes I've let them eat all the Halloween candy until they got sick, or all the Easter candy until they got sick, right? But we've done the same thing ourselves. How many times have we gotten
Yep.
Valentine chocolates and we ate the whole box and then we felt miserable because we ate too many?
Yep.
So, not bashing yourself is so important because your kids see that as well. But I will say this: as I've gotten older, I used to be very anti like supplements and taking different things, and then I researched certain things, and I will say, don't always try to do it alone, right? Some
Mhm.
people's bodies are different, and if you need help, there are supplements that will help you with whatever it is that you're lacking in your diet.
Mhm.
Because it is hard. Doesn't matter if you go completely vegan, you can still have things that you need. So if that's an area, that you're struggling in, whether it's to lose weight, whether it's to help your family get healthier, or whether it's like, hey, I don't even know what healthy supplements look like, because some people don't. They think if they just go to like
Mhm.
PNC and pick something up, they think that that's okay. And I'm like, oh, that makes me cringe. But it's just because, know better, do better. So
Yep.
I just encourage you to reach out, educate yourself, and just raise your hand and say, hey, I need help. This is an area that I'm interested in, and I would love to know what you look for in a healthy supplement, or, what you do to help your family get meal prep or moving, or, whatever it is, right?
Mhm.
Not trying to always do it yourself. That's important.
And how can everyone find you? Where's the best place to get in touch with you, Emily?
Yeah, so I'm pretty active on Facebook. You can find me Emily Smiley, or Emily Smiley Live. And if you want to get added into our group, I have a page, Abundant Living, and we focus healthy mind, soul, and body. And that's my last tip. I completely forgot about it. Feed your brain positive. We were just kind of talking about that earlier. We
Right.
touched on that. I asked my son, and he goes, "Well, Mom, we do our affirmations every morning, and in our house, we do devotions. So the kids read their Bible and they have kids devotions. So they do that. But they do have coloring books for affirmations and character and positive. There's so many things on growth mindset. And
Yes.
I've been teaching that for 20 years. And I love seeing it mainstream right now, because the more that you feed your mind, the healthier you're gonna be. Ugh, because you're not focused on, you know, too few calories, or exercising for 2.5 hours. You understand that it's the whole picture for yourself and your family, everybody. And I think we get that a little bit more this year with all the screen time, right? And like,
Yes.
oh, I'm trying to curb my kids' screen time, which is important. And
Mhm.
getting in that mental, time, whether it's just reading or just breathing. I know that's your wheelhouse, but it's important. It is important.
Yeah, it really, really is. And just, yeah, getting the kids on board, getting the family on board. And as we said before, it's so wonderful to see the kids getting that at school, like with them really being taught about growth mindset versus fixed mindset. Like that's
Mhm.
exactly what they need, right? The whole law of the law of attraction mindset, all of the things. So that's where you are on Facebook. And then what about on Instagram? Where can they find you on
Instagram,
Instagram?
it's still Emily Smiley Live. You can find me that on any of the platforms: Instagram,
Okay.
Facebook, or even blog. It's Emily Smiley Live.
Okay, and then your group, I'll make sure we tag that in the comments as well so that they can check out your group and all that. And as Emily said, if you have any questions and need any extra help and looking at any supplements or accountability or support, by all means, reach out. If you're not yet on my mailing list, it's at imbalancepilates.ca. So definitely check out both of our ways to stay in touch that way. And I'm sure we'll do some more things together. We've got some other things coming up and stuff like that. So that'll be great. But I just wanted to take this time to thank you so much for coming on tonight. It's so great just to be able to share tips and tools and just ways that everyone can get feeling more healthy and live their best life, live a more optimal, healthy life. And any ways we can get those scheduled into our day, get more accountability, more support, more people to ask for help as as you said, is exactly what we need. So I just want to thank you again so much for taking the time to come on tonight.
Oh, you're so welcome. I love plugging into healthy communities, and I encourage everyone watching to do so. It's important.
It is, yeah, plug into all the online support and friends and colleagues, right? It's so important. So yeah, so thanks again. I just will sign off for now, but just wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you, and have a fantastic week.
Thank
Keep
you.
dropping
Thank you for
your
having me.
thanks for coming. Thanks for coming on. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for
Bye,
tuning
guys. Thanks
in.
for tuning in.
Yeah, if you have any questions, be sure to drop them below. Feel free to share this out if you're watching the replay, and be sure to say hello so we can come back and say hello back. So have a good night. Bye. Thanks again, Emily.
Bye. Bye, guys.